like to discuss, right? I like to discuss life. Yeah, life, things that we can learn from one another, the lessons of life. I also like to discuss what's happening and trending on social media. Now, what has really got me moved, I wanted to start with a different topic today, but I have to start with the legend himself, the funeralization of Jesse Jackson. I think that is a word. I don't know if I made it up, but want to talk about the legacy of Jesse Jackson as his funeral proceedings has have begun, as according to the New York Times. Jesse Jackson's service has now begun in Chicago. A large-scale public event in Chicago today caps 2 weeks. Did you know? Because I was watching actually on social media, and I kept asking myself, when is Jesse Jackson funeral? Did I miss Jesse Jackson funeral? Like when was that supposed to happen? So now this is the weekend, y'all, and there will be another memorial with the family only coming up as well. I believe that will be next weekend, but this is the weekend for the public observance. So starting today on Friday. So according to the New York Times, Jesse Jackson draws leaders. I was watching at home. Shout out to everybody watching online. Big up yourself if you're watching or listening on the app. Did you know that Voice of the Caribbean is an app? Yes, yes, yes. We're an app. Well, I'm coming in kind of pensive because I was watching the funeral, guys. I normally have a little high energy with me, but I was so moved. The church choir that is giving in the service of Jesse Jackson at his funeral procession had me very moved. So I came in with some energy, and I've been looking at the funeral. And of course, sometimes funerals can be very sad, but this giant passing away at 84 years of age, starting Push, the Coalition for People United to Serve Humanity in 1971. He was one of the first public leaders, public officials that gave black people a sense of pride and identity, telling them you are somebody. He, back when he first began his political career in the 70s and 80s, his platform was considered radical, what he stood for, basically the main principles and the ideas that he wanted to push at the time were very, very radical, but they are now pretty much the bedrock of the Democratic Party. He knew what he stood for when he said equality. He wanted equality for women. He wanted equality for LGBTQ. Most people don't know that. Jesse Jackson, the preacher, ahead of his time, wanted equality for all because he just said it doesn't make sense that any singular group is discriminated against when we, under the Constitution of the United States, preach that we are all equal. What we said, one nation under God is our pledge. So we are going to keep an eye out. I'm going to watch it all later. I can't, because I'm telling you, it just changed my mood a little bit. I was so happy and joyful, and then it got me thinking about life in a deep way. So if we go a little deeper, forgive me. Yes, Jesse Jackson, the legend, his funeral has started, and again, I will watch it later. I gotta watch it like when I'm a crier. I'm a crier. I'm a crier. So I have to give myself the space to cry and to feel and to really reflect on who he was. Right now, at the funeral, though, he has drawn out three former presidents. I watched them just before my show started. Walking in to the church in Chicago, you had President Joe Biden, President Bill Clinton, and of course, President Barack Obama. Got a round of applause, standing ovation. That's home team in Chicago, right? But according to the New York Times, three former presidents, a sitting mayor, and a governor. Of course, many business executives and clergy members and gospel singers. Let me tell you, that choir had me setting off already a little tear. I said, oh no, I have my show to do. But they started singing Near the Cross, an old hymn, and your girl about to get in that spirit before our show. So I'm gonna have to say, okay, I can't watch the rest of this. I have to watch it later. And I by myself and get to, my quiet place and thinking about how significant, what a brave man. Let me tell you, I'm on a civil rights mindset today. I'll tell you why. Because yesterday, as if you caught the show, you heard me speak about a wonderful Women's History Month celebration panel that I had the privilege of moderating. It was brought to the community by the Virgil Hawkins chapter of the National Bar Association. For those non-attorneys, you don't know what that means. Virgil Hawkins was the first black person in the state of Florida to enter law school, right? It was a tumultuous time. I believe it was the 50s. And that's why the chapter that represents black attorneys name themselves after Virgil Hawkins. He went to the University of Florida, my alma mater, and Virgil Hawkins paid a great price. I don't even think he graduated initially. The racism and the maltreatment was so bad that he was the first, but I think he didn't finish initially because of the disgusting and vile, separate and unequal, and even violent resistance to him being a part of the law school because of the color of his skin. So the story of Virgil Hawkins, we can get into it a little bit. Let's get into it a little bit. This is Women's History Month, but Black History 365. Let's go. This is the Suzette Speaks show. We're going to teach a little bit. We're going to talk about hot topics. Y'all still want to talk about the burger wars? I don't know. It's not on my spirit right now because I've been watching Jesse Jackson funeral. So I don't really have McDonald's burger. Y'all eat McDonald's? Y'all eat it? Y'all still eat that? Okay. If you do, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, okay. Because the CEO didn't look like he even took a big bite. He came out after all the hubbubaloo. He came out saying that he had eaten a whole big arch burger. I'm not giving him no free advertising. He had eaten a burger. So when he went to do the commercial, after he ate the burger initially, he wasn't that hungry. So he took that baby bite, that baby shark bite, that baby rabbit bite. We ain't in it. Thank you, Gray Pill. Thank you, everybody watching online. Big up yourself if you're watching on the Suzette Speaks show. I'm also on YouTube. You can check me out. Your girl wearing the stripes today. Got a little curly blonde going. Hey, it's the weekend. I'm going to try to get into something. We'll see. Maybe not tonight, but tomorrow. But I had a wonderful night last night. I was telling you I had the privilege of moderating a panel featuring 3 dynamic, trailblazing women in the legal profession. One of them is the president of the National Bar Association, and she came to us from Tennessee. It was a webinar, right? Everybody on the Zoom. And we had the former Chief Justice of the Florida Supreme Court, the only African-American head of any branch of government in Florida has been on the Supreme Court. That is former Chief Justice. She's now retired, Peggy Ann Quince. She was one of my panelists as well. And then representing for the state of Georgia. So it was like a Florida, Tennessee, Georgia link up. And representing the attorneys out of Georgia was none other than the district attorney for Fulton County. You may know her. She's a lady who sued or charged Donald Trump. And the case got dismissed, of course, because the Supreme Court said you can't charge a president. But Fani Willis was also a member of the panel. And we had a fruitful 2-hour discussion about the importance of Black women in the legal profession. As I told you yesterday, we are only about 5% total. We're going to talk about gas prices. If y'all want to get into the gas prices, we could do that as well. Due to the conflict, the war, I know they're saying that it's not a war. It looks like a war. When you go on social media, all of the clips that you're seeing of the children bawling out, the cluster munitions, what they call cluster bombs. Man, it is scary living in a war zone. And again, we have tens of thousands of Americans still in the region with right now, they're talking about what concepts of a plan. You hear any concrete plan to get the Americans who are stuck in Dubai and stuck in Oman and stuck in Saudi and other places? Well, how are they going to get home? Are we expecting the U.S. government to play its part? Listen, it doesn't seem like they have a plan. I sound better. Oh, I got to talk directly. Sorry, y'all. Crisp and clear. Suzette Speaks live here in the studio. Big up the voice of the Lioness. He said he'll be back. He's serving for Lisa B today. And big up Miss Lisa. But it's a Fire Friday. We keep the music going. Yes, this is my favorite day of the week, listening to my own station. The family here is just such a blessing to listen to from our gospel on Sundays. On Saturdays, we do a nice gospel show in the morning, too. I listen while I'm on my way to the gym. Your girl did our gym workout this morning. I was so sore this week. I'm not going to lie. My trainer has me pulling I don't know what they call it, like a wagon, like a truck, where you backpedal. You have this big elastic band around your waist, pulling this wagon. And, they're reporting now, just hot off the press, that Savannah Guthrie from the Today Show. What happened to Miss Nancy Guthrie? We just stopped talking about her. The lady, the 84-year-old lady and mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie has not been found. Anybody, we paying attention to that? That was so random. Who kidnaps people's mother? That lady, I feel sorry for her family. But apparently, Savannah just returned back to work. It's being reported right now on NBC today with Jenna and, who is that? Jenna and Chanel. So they're reporting that Savannah Guthrie is now returning back to her job. She had been on leave because her mother, of course, we know the story, making headlines. Savannah had tweeted, "We feel the love and prayers from our neighbors and friends in Tucson." And she has been the face. People saying that that was because of her. People wanted money from her. I don't know. The whole thing was still weird to me. And we just stopped talking. It just fell off the cover of the newspapers, of the media's coverage, because now we're at war. So Savannah still says she's holding on to faith. She still believes. As my mom would say, where else would I go? Listen, that's a tough road for somebody to experience something so traumatic and still don't know where their mother is. All right, this is the Suzette Speaks show, y'all. We are going to talk a little bit about Black history. I was telling you about who Virgil Hawkins was. That is the first person of color, first Black person in the state of Florida to attend a law school. We have to remember our history. And in 1949, I said it was in the 50s, it was actually 49, Virgil D. Hawkins, the director of public relations for Bethune-Cookman College at the time. It now is known as Bethune-Cookman University. It's located in Daytona. It is one of the historically Black colleges where, again, during the times of segregation, where by law, Black people, other minorities were separate and could not attend school with white people by law. They had to form their own schools, their own places for education. And Bethune-Cookman College, as it was known at the time, named for the great Mary McLeod Bethune, now known as Bethune-Cookman University, is where he had worked. So in 1949, Virgil D. Hawkins, the director of public relations for Bethune-Cookman College, applied for admission to the University of Florida College of Law. He was academically eligible and possessed appropriate life experience qualifications for 9 years. So it was in the 50s. For 9 years, Hawkins and his allies would fight Florida's what they call Jim Crow laws. Those were the separate but unequal laws that prevented Black people from owning houses in parts of town, from being able to get a loan for a house. You wonder, okay, how does wealth accumulate from generation to generation? Well, there were laws preventing you from being able to get a home loan, from being able to get a car loan, from being able to get a student loan, like everyone else in the country. This was by design. So for 9 years, Virgil Hawkins fought to become the first Black student to enter a predominantly white college of law. For 9 years, he and his allies would sue and apply again, and apply again, and apply again. So again, at the time, schools were racially segregated, right, including state universities, until they were ultimately victorious in the United States Supreme Court. University of Florida denied admission to Hawkins and 5 other African American applicants in the May of 1949 solely based on their race. Hawkins appealed under the Equal Protection Clause to the Florida Supreme Court but did not prevail. The court instead required Florida to build a law school for Black students at Florida A&M University. So think about that. Instead of admitting a Black law student, they said, nope, we're going to keep it separate. Build one for your own race. We won't have you enter our school. Isn't that crazy? Thinking about it now, but at the time, that was the prevalent attitude. So between 1948 and 1956, 85 African American students were denied admissions to University of Florida. In the landmark 1954 case, Brown versus Board of Education, the United States Supreme Court ordered the public schools of the nation to be desegregated, not to be, must be desegregated with, quote unquote, this was a Supreme Court ruling, Brown v. Board. That changed everything when it came to segregation in our schools. That case, 1954, again, ordered the public schools nationwide that they must be desegregated with, quote unquote, all deliberate speed by 1956. And in a companion decision, ordered the University of Florida to admit Virgil Hawkins. He was not admitted and would go before the Florida Supreme Court 3 more times, and the United States Supreme Court twice more. So the sacrifice to lead integration in 1958, Hawkins withdrew his application to the University of Florida in exchange for a Florida Supreme Court order desegregating University of Florida's graduate and professional schools. On September 15, 1958, George Stark, he was the first. It was Virgil Hawkins who applied over and over again, but George Stark, actually, I think I met his grandson. Again, it sounds like history, but people are still alive. George Stark, I think I met his grandson while I was there. George Stark was admitted to the College of Law at the University of Florida was admitted to the College of Law of University of Florida as its first African American law student. Stark received police protection for the first few weeks, but withdrew after 3 semesters. Public schools across Florida finally began to integrate. George Allen, actually South Florida native. I think he's from Fort Lauderdale, and his son is still in public service here in South Florida. W. George Allen became the first African American to graduate from the University of Florida College of Law in 1962. We get some history. The first 7 African American undergraduates registered in 1962. I got to take you back, because in the discussion I had with these 3 incredible ladies last night, we covered a lot of ground, y'all. It was very eye-opening. What it takes to have the courage to lead in a field and even in rooms that don't readily expect you to be there, to be prepared, to be capable, to be excellent. What does that look like? And it was discussed, whether or not there are enough of members of our community that are brave enough to step out there and step forward in times like these. Whether that looks like running for office, whether that looks like volunteering for civic boards, city boards, county boards, and places where you could have impact. Are we doing enough? Or are we still watching it from the sidelines, like the meme that shows the city burning? I don't know. We gotta talk about that. I'm in a mood now, y'all, because I'm looking at the funeral procession for the late great legend Jesse Jackson. I tell you some of that because sometimes we don't know some of the American history, the Florida history that is paving the way. Sorry, I'm putting a little lotion on my hands. My little hands are dry today. What's going on with the lotion? Yeah, sorry about that. But I gotta stay moisturized. But as I watched some of the funeral procession today, where 3 former presidents, President Bill Clinton, President Joe Biden, and President Barack Obama, all, as the church folks would say, thought it not robbery to attend the service of a great man. Again, a man that was not without flaws, but that nonetheless, possessed a very high caliber of leadership and paved the way, I think, for Barack Obama to become Barack Obama, the first Black president of the United States. Or some people would say mixed race, but we know how it goes here, right? So as we watch what's happening right now, this morning on the south side of Chicago, the public memorial service for the late legend, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. We are watching thousands of Chicagoans gather for this epic memorial. 2 weeks they're celebrating him, because Mr. Jackson had a lot of programs and had a very big footprint in Chicago. So for 2 weeks they have been celebrating the life of the late great Jesse Jackson. Remember, his oratory and activism changed this country's trajectory. Arguing for racial equality and opportunity made him one of the most powerful civil rights leaders of his time. He was the bridge, because he was there when Martin Luther King was shot. He was there with him. And he has basically served as the bridge between the generation before him, leading up to Barack Obama's election, and the work that still needs to be done. At this funeral, again, the Jackson family has welcomed 3 of the 4 former living presidents as speakers. Barack Obama, I'm going to watch it later, y'all. Joseph R. Biden Jr. and Bill Clinton. Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago is also in attendance, who called Mr. Jackson his beloved mentor, and Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois. will also speak at the service along with the Reverend Al Sharpton and civil rights leaders. Tom Ricketts, owner of the Chicago Cubs, is also slated to speak. Oh, really? They're going to have Gavin Newsom, governor of California. We got to take a quick station ID pause. We got a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. This is the Suzette Speaks show. More right after this.
Radio.
Hey, this is your boy comedian RJ, man. The comedy room is back. If you want to come out and have a great time on a Friday night, you already know where to go if you've been there before. And if you haven't been, you need to check it out. 1401 South State Road 7 in North Lauderdale on the intersection of Boulevard of Champions and 441. This is the livest spot to come to and to get a vibe. It's a full venue that has food, bar, music, Caribbean style. I need all my Haitian people to come out. I need all my Jamaican people to come out. I need all my VI people to come out. If you're from the Caribbean, this is the spot to come out on a Friday night. You get to laugh, you get to dance, you get to eat, you get to drink, and you get to host with the most, comedian RJ, y'all. See y'all each and every Friday night. I'm out.
Oh, I need to talk about Christy Nome. That's what I'm not talking about. I forgot Christy Nome.
The voice of the Caribbean. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yes, we're back. More Suzette Speaks show. We are remembering the late, great legend, Jesse Jackson today. I'm glad I have a chance to stop and observe, a little bit of his life and recognize the outstanding role he played in the United States as far as civil rights. And we say civil rights, but that means equality for all. Civil rights meaning that no one is treated any differently than anyone else under the law, that we as people of color and everybody else should have equal access to the law and be protected by it equally, right? So he was revolutionary at his time. Jesse Louis Jackson, a great American civil rights activist. I'm telling you, y'all don't know this part, but he was also an LGBTQ rights activist at that time, was revolutionary. He kept saying everybody should have the same rights. Why are you worried about them? So that, again, we're going to highlight who he was just in this moment. I didn't get a chance when he first passed to talk about him on my show. Yes, there's a war going on. Yes, we can talk about the raising of gas prices. I think I read the national new average is now $3.32, around there. It was a week ago to, what was it? I want to say it was under $3 a week ago. So across the country, have you seen gas prices raised because of the conflict in Iran? Oh, most definitely. It's not going to stop right now. People are feeling the crunch with groceries, with, utilities, and now with the gas prices. I thought we were on our way, or the plan was supposed to be to bring down the cost of living, but there are people now that are very nervous, and they have the right to be, because this is, again, pressure on all Americans to pay their bills, to keep afloat, while prices for everyday commodities is still going up and up and up and up. Yesterday, we reported live two things. The fire in Northwest Miami-Dade. I reported on a incredibly difficult to put out fire at a warehouse on the border of Miami-Dade and the city of Miramar. It is still burning. I'm watching live coverage through NBC's news network that the warehouse is still smoldering, still burning to a certain degree. And yesterday, if those of you who traveled through that area between the border of Miami-Dade County and the city of Miramar, saw billowing smoke in the air. And if you were listening to us, we were trying to make sure you avoided that area. And the other big news, the firing of Christy Nome. How do you feel about it? It was happening live. I was literally reporting it live as it was happening. That's why y'all got to stay locked in. As we were on the air, we saw the news come over that Christy Nome, what do you think? Is she the fall gal? Is she taking a fall? You think before she went into those hearings on Capitol Hill this week and got skewered, do you think she knew that she was going to take the fall, or that she was going to be out of the job by the end of the week? Do you think she knew, after spending over 200 million taxpayer dollars to do a nationwide ad campaign featuring her? Some people say in dress up, some people say in cosplay. That's the opinions I've been reading on social media. I got to tell you what the people are saying, not necessarily mine. Again, The information shared, opinion shared on the Suzette Speaks show are that of the host, yours truly. And any guests, sometimes we have guests on callers. So we know it doesn't represent the opinion of the station management, right? Viewer discretion. Okay, thank you. Just be reminded. But looking at what happened to Christy Nome, was it long overdue after the deaths of Renee Good in Minnesota, the lady, the mother, who was killed in her car returning away from ICE agents, shot in the face? We're going to remember her. Is it because of what happened to Alex Preddy and the young veterans nurse, who was also mowed down and his life was taken? Those people cannot come back because of mistake. Those people cannot come back. Their families have lost them forever. Their futures are taken from them forever. We have to value life. People's lives were taken from them unnecessarily. And here we are. Now we have someone finally taking accountability for Christy Nome. Well, we know, I gotta be careful. All right, let me get back to Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson, the legend himself, was a Baptist minister, ordained Baptist minister, activist, politician. His memorial service will be going on today and continue tomorrow. I think they're moving to DC. Tonight is in Chicago, or what's going on right now. I'm gonna watch the replay later because those things make me cry. You know, I gotta get into spirit. When no church choirs start to sing, baby, your girl get a little emotional. Okay, so I can't watch it during the day. I started watching. I was like, why did I watch this right before this show? I don't want to cry. I don't want to feel too emotional. But Jesse Jackson was a protege of the late Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend Doctor, and James Bevel during the civil rights movement. He became one of the most prominent civil rights leaders in the late 20th century and early 21st century. And he was an ardent advocate and supporter for all rights, everyone to have equal rights, including LGBTQ rights in the United States. From 1991 to 1997, he served as a shadow delegate and shadow senator for the District of Columbia. I gotta play some audio from Jesse Jackson. I am somebody at a time where Black people were still very much marginalized, pushed to the side, not allowed the same opportunity, not allowed the same access to resources, not allowed the same access to jobs, not allowed the same access to housing. At that time, he was pushing for equality and telling Black people to have pride in themselves. They had not had, of course they had to have it, but in a large scale, young people who were just engaging in the political process had not had someone telling them they are someone, they are somebody. He had such an impact. He founded what is now known as the Rainbow Push Coalition. Born in Greensville, South Carolina, Jackson began his activism in the 1960s and founded the organizations that later merged to form Rainbow Push. I think since 1971 I was reading. Expanding his work to international affairs in the 1980s, he became a vocal critic of the Reagan administration and launched the campaign. Let me tell you, if there's no Jesse Jackson, I doubt people can argue with me. There's a Barack Obama. Jesse Jackson was the first major, Shirley Chisholm was the first. We have to say first woman, first man, first Black woman, first Black man. Jesse Jackson pushed so Barack Obama could run. You hear me? In 1984, in an electrifying, if you weren't around then, do some research, because nothing is new under the sun. 1984, Jesse Jackson ran for president. Initially viewed as a fringe candidate, he finished third in the Democratic nomination behind former Vice President Walter Mondale and Senator Gary Hart. He continued his activism and mounted a second presidential bid in 1988, finishing as the runner-up for the Democratic nomination. I remember this. I was little, but I remember this, to Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis. I just remember the name and somewhat about the race. Shout out to everybody watching online. Shout out to everybody tuned in. Shout out to everybody listening at their job, in their car, or at home. This is the voice of the characteristics. Voice of the Caribbean. Sue, wake up, honey. I actually didn't sleep. Good Friday to you, y'all. Happy Friday. My eating regimen, I see some questions on my Facebook. Listen, my trainer has been excellent. I think I've been eating a lot better. I have gotten into juicing in the last, I would say, couple weeks. And I don't make sweet juice. I just put it. I forgot about the power of things like the beets, celery, parsley, green apple. My juice today, I just drank juice after I worked out. I was thirsty. So my juice was half of a beet. I did the beet. I did a stalk of celery. I did a little finger, I guess you would call it, of ginger. What do you call a leaf? A little piece, lease. I guess that's what you call it, a little piece. I had a lease of ginger, a little piece. I think about the word, the perfect word is actually in Spanish, pedazo. I had un pedazo de, I don't know how to say ginger in Spanish, but I had a little piece of ginger. And then I put parsley, like 2 sprigs of parsley. And I had a kiwi and maybe 4 or 5 chunks of pineapple. Was the little bit of sweetness. And a bunch of water and ice. It was so refreshing after my workout. It was like the perfect drink to satisfy me, both with vitamins and minerals. Okay, shout out to your fruits and vegetables. And I'm trying to get them in more, intentionally. Of course, we see the war in the Middle East is continuing to rage. Are you watching this on social media? I had to stop watching some of the bombings, all of the cluster munitions, the hypersonic bombs, all of this. It's just, you got to pay attention because it's so scary. And there are a lot of innocent lives caught in this war zone. So we were still, I was listening last night. I'll just say what I was listening to because I don't know if I have time. I have 15 minutes or so left. So I really was trying to say to myself, why are we in this war? Why? Do I hear, and I played some clips of Marco Rubio. I didn't get to play President Trump yesterday. Should I play Secretary Hegseth? I'm hearing so many different reasons as to why we're actually in this war. And I was thinking to myself, do I feel it's justified? Now that I think they said over 900 Iranians are dead. Our soldier count, I think, is a much lower count, but it's still lives. It's still people that had a future. Families that will miss their loved ones. They did a profile about one of the soldiers that has lost their lives in this Iraq conflict. And I'm telling people cried. They say he was such a good man. They cried. And I thought, well, Lord, is it just, we got to put a pin in that. Let me just finish up Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson's funeral today, y'all. Watch some of it, right? Pay homage to a man who changed America so that all of us, folks who are first generation immigrant, second generation immigrant, people who came through the gate, have to thank Jesse Jackson for helping to work to equalize the treatment of individuals, civil rights as we call it, under the law. He paved the way for equality, taking up Dr. Martin Luther King's mantle and fighting against injustice, creating a better, to me, more perfect union. So looking at his life, let's take a moment to reflect. Yesterday during the webinar I did with the incredible ladies representing outstanding attorneys from 3 different states. I had the pleasure of moderating. I'm an attorney, if you don't know that. I'm an attorney as well. I practice personal injury law as well, as I love hosting events. I host for a lot of other people as well, and I was grateful that the Virgil Hawkins, that's how we got started talking about who was Virgil Hawkins. He was the first Black person to apply to desegregate a majority white school, which was the law at the time. We did not get, by law, the right to attend majority white schools until Brown versus Board of Education, the landmark Supreme Court case that we all learned about. I mean, in law school, I know it may not be as common knowledge, especially if you didn't go to school here, but it's something that you should really be aware of because it affects everyone beyond that point. Allowing children of all backgrounds, all races, all creeds to go to school together. That was not for first, 250 years, the way it was here in this great country. And it's okay to acknowledge it and think about it because we don't want to repeat it. But the life well lived by Mr. Jesse Jackson, again, not a perfect person, absolutely not. Neither am I, neither is any of us, imagine that. But an undeniable powerhouse. Sought the presidency twice. ran for president in an electrifying campaign. People thought he was on the fringes. Black people showed up for him because, again, he preached pride in yourself. Love yourself. You are somebody. You deserve to be treated equally anytime, any day, under the law. Don't let anybody tell you you don't belong in that room. Don't let anybody tell you you don't have what it takes or that you shouldn't do this or you should take a back seat to anybody. He was one of the first who on a national level galvanized people, got people motivated and thinking about themselves as deserving enough to be treated equally. And those who weren't treating Black people equally, thinking about it in terms of why are we not allowing equal treatment for everyone? We say this is our credo, this is our Constitution, this is what we live by, but we're not living up to it. He pushed America to become better. So as we look at his life, think about this young man, poor, growing up in Greenville, South Carolina, born to an 18-year-old high school student and her 33-year-old married neighbor. Now, come on now. This was a scandal. Think about who God used. An 18-year-old who was impregnated by a 33-year-old married neighbor is Jesse Jackson's parents. Think about that. So his father was a man named Noah Lewis Robinson. And that's why I say you got to think about how much grace we give to other people, because everybody's story has something in it. There's no such thing as a perfect person or a perfect politician. I think we do ourselves a disservice wanting that, because everybody has a story. Everybody falters. Or can you imagine how they told this 18-year-old she's scandalous? I haven't been in a relationship with a neighbor. We'll put that in air quotes. Relationship. 33-year-old versus an 18-year-old at that time. But a man that would change the course of history. Look at that. Did you hear that Donald Trump saying that Cuba is going to fall pretty soon? Did you see the quote? I see it popping up on my news feed. I have to get into it in a little bit, but back to Jesse Jackson. He changed the trajectory of our country. I didn't know this. I'm reading it and I'm thinking, I didn't know this. A former professional boxer, Jesse put in that work. Robinson worked for a textile brokerage and was well known in the Black community. A year after Jesse's birth, his mother married Charles Henry Jackson, a post office maintenance worker who later adopted him. Jackson took his stepfather's surname, though he also maintained a close relationship with Robinson as he grew up. That was the birth father. He considered both men his fathers. As a child, Jesse Jackson was taunted by other children. Listen, here we go, about his out-of-wedlock birth. You guys, we speak so differently about it now. At that time, it was a scandal. It was a scandal. People were marked with a scarlet letter, meaning they were, shunned or outcast because of how their parents came to be. Jesse Jackson was taunted, he said. And he said those experiences actually motivated him to succeed. Living under the segregation laws we know as Jim Crow, that's the name of those laws, the body of laws that were in effect in the United States. He was taught to go back to the back of the bus and use a separate water fountain. That's what he grew up with, drinking from a separate water fountain from white people by law under the Jim Crow laws. And again, he accepted the practices until the Montgomery bus boycott of 1955. He attended, during his time, a racially segregated school where only Black kids were forced to go. It wasn't allowed. They were forced to go. They weren't allowed to go to school with the white kids on the other side of town. So they were forced to go to their own school because of segregation. So he grew up going to a racially segregated school, Sterling High School in Greenville, where he was elected student class president, finishing 10th in his class and earning letters, meaning he was a sportsman in baseball, football, and basketball. The late, great Jesse Jackson, after graduating from high school in 1959, Jesse rejected a contract from a minor league professional baseball team. Who knew? that he could attend, so that he could attend the University of Illinois. That's how he got tied to Chicago. I understand now. So after a second semester at a predominantly white college, which was the University of Illinois, he transferred to North Carolina A&T, a historically black university in Greensboro, North Carolina. Accounts of the reasons for his transfer differed, though Jackson said he changed schools because of the racial prejudice that he experienced at the University of Illinois, and which prevented him from playing quarterback and limited his participation on a competitive public speaking team. Very interesting. Hey, do you know what the theme is here? All the setbacks don't break you, they make you. His mother was an unwed mother in a scandal. Impregnated by a neighbor who was married. Was made fun of because he was born out of wedlock. Grew up in the segregated South. Black people were not allowed to go to the same schools as white people by law. Inferior education, inferior living quarters, inferior pay, not allowed the same access to living or able to purchase homes and things by law, not given the same access to loans and student loans, and places that they could live were limited. Things that they could do were limited. He grew up where white only segregated water fountains existed. This is a real thing that happened here in the United States of America. And even though he grew up in all those struggles, look at the life he lived, changing the trajectory. Like I said, the hardships didn't break him, they made him. So as we remember Jesse Jackson today, it's very important, again, to look back so you know where we've been, so you know where we can be planning for the future. Sometimes we think the blueprint is brand new, baby. There's a lot of people who have walked this road already. A lot of people who have, throughout the history of the United States, broken down barriers, challenged the status quo, fought for equality, and pushed for what they thought was a more perfect union. And even though it seems like there's some rollback and backward movement, like I said, we've had some fighters show us how it's done. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, per se. Looking at the life of Jesse Jackson, looking at the work that he dedicated his life to for over, 60 years? For humanity. Again, he founded what is called PUSH, People United to Save Humanity. 1971, that was everybody was allowed to be a member of PUSH. That coalition did a lot for the community. We have an emergency alert. I'm going to let that play.
Heavy smoke due to a fire is impacting the area. It is recommended for those with respiratory problems and medical conditions to shelter in place if possible. Stay indoors, close windows and doors, and recirculate ventilation systems. Follow Broward County social media and local news for additional information. No evacuations are necessary.
Emergency alert, just letting us know again that there is heavy smoke due to the continued warehouse fire we reported on yesterday all day. It looks like it is still an issue that is on the northwestern border of Miami-Dade County and the city of Miramar. As we were telling you earlier in the broadcast, there is some residual fire that is still burning, and that officials both from Miami-Dade Fire Rescue as well as the Miramar Fire Department are working to put out, and the air quality is not that great, especially in that area. Looking at the weather forecast, today is 83 degrees, tomorrow 80 degrees. It also looks like it's going to be a bright and sunny, low humidity weekend. We might want to get outside. Let's go. Are you going to be outside for the weekend? But yeah, today, just be cautious. There is still smoke all around due to especially this warehouse fire, and there's some smoke that is impacting our air quality today. So be advised if you have respiratory issues like asthma or any COPD, there we go, COPD, and any others, you just want to be advised right before you go outside or you spend long periods of time outside, right? There's not an evacuation order or anything like that. We just heard the advisory, and it comes right through our studio so that we let you know. But again, we're celebrating the life of the living, or excuse me, the legend now passed. Come on, Sue. The legend now passed. The late great. Come on, I got it right now. Late great Jesse Jackson. The life of a trailblazer. The life of someone who has had the most significant impact on this country and its politics. Some would say one of the most pivotal African Americans in history when it comes to changing the state of affairs here in the United States. He worked so hard, so diligently for more than 60 years, operating People United to Save Humanity. As I serve, it's the People United to Save Humanity, Operation Push, officially beginning in 1971. Jackson later changed. Oh, I see. Okay, so I thought it was People United to Serve Humanity. It was initially People United to Save Humanity. He changed it to People United to Serve Humanity. Okay, I knew. I thought I had it wrong, but the name eventually changed. Yeah, him running for president of the United States was something that was just legendary, and I'm going to continue to cover that. Let's go back to some hot topics. Of course, Kristi Noem took the axe yesterday. Mr. Trump, via his social media platform, announcing that was going to be a huge change. Department of Homeland Security, no longer the Secretary of the Department, Kristi Noem, she was gone and being released from her position as of the end of this month. Many are saying because of the very tumultuous congressional hearings that she had this week, the way she answered, the way she didn't really take responsibility, it was all a problem. It was a problem. So we're going to keep an eye on who's coming in. I don't have enough time to play the clips of the new secretary, but I don't know if they'll be any better. Mr. Mark Wayne from Oklahoma. You think it's going to be better with this gentleman? Ice Barbie, they call her. Not my words. This is the Sun United States version. This is a British tabloid and newspaper that is calling her Ice Barbie is iced out. Kristi Noem breaks silence, and that thanks Trump for her new job. You ever seen people, leave a job and be awarded a new job? So you're being held accountable because you didn't do a good job at your old job, but somehow they found you a new job. Do you guys see this? Thanks, Mr. Trump, for her new job after she's fired from the Department of Homeland Security and replaced with the ex-MMA fighter. Y'all saw this guy? This guy is very interesting, a former senator, or will be a former senator if he is confirmed. He has to go through Senate confirmation. Trump announced that Kristi Noem would become, this is the new title, Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas. What does that even mean? Have you heard of this? They made it up, a new thing. Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas. I still got to do some research on that. I never heard of that. The administration, it's the administration's new security initiative. Noem addressed the firing. This is according to the British The Sun. She addressed the firing an hour after the announcement with a post on X thanking Trump for her new appointment. She is quoted as saying, quote, by the British outlet thesun.com, "In this new role, I will be able to build on our partnerships and national security expertise I forged over the last 13 months as Secretary of Homeland Security," she wrote. Now, again, this is a person that didn't come with any significant law enforcement, any range of skills that's supposed to help you see. Department of Homeland Security also oversees the Transportation Safety Administration, TSA. Remember, she announced, that was also a big debacle, that TSA pre-clear was going to be down. That was her problem too. And then they said that during these hearings, some commentators are speculating that when she said it was President Trump that approved her $220 million, allegedly, now it was actually spent on commercials featuring herself, that Mr. Trump cleared it, and he later said he didn't clear it. Anyway, I don't know what to believe. There's a lot going on. I want to invite you real quick before I sign off to the Suzette Speaks Rise Women's Meetup. It will be not this Saturday, not next Saturday, but the following one, March 21st. We are gathering with a group of women who are seeking empowerment and upliftment. Again, looking at life through new lenses and sisterhood, right? I'm excited. The event is free, and you can get your tickets. I think they're going super fast. That'll be on Saturday, March 21st in Broward County, actually. We're doing it up there because that's where my speakers are. And we love to empower people on a soul level, spiritual, professional development level as well. So I hope you will come out. Also, the Rise Women's Conference is next month, April 18th. That's going to be a full day conference. Early bird tickets are $35 right now. Again, that will be in the city of Plantation, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Again, a wonderful day of empowerment. It has been my pleasure to chat with you. Stay tuned. Humble Lion is going to be in for Miss Lisa. Have a good one.
Oh, FHD2 Miami, 101.5 HD2.
W245BC, Lauderdale Lakes, 96.